Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to compare a fraction and a decimal. So let's say that you have 2 over 3 with 0.65 and you want to compare these two numbers. So the way to compare a fraction with a decimal is to always take the fraction and change it to a decimal. So that means you're going to take 2/3 and you're going to change it to a decimal. Now remember how we change a fraction into a decimal like we did in the previous videos. So we always divide them. This one goes inside and this one goes to the outside. A common mistake is that people always want to put the bigger number inside. That means they will try to put the 3 here inside just because it's bigger. No, it's not true. You look at how the problem is set up. Whichever number is on top, that's the one that goes inside. And whichever one is in the bottom, that's the one that goes on the outside. Now, how many times 3 goes into 2? 3 is too big to go into 2. So 3 goes into 2 0 times. It doesn't go. 0 times 3 is 0. 2 take away 0 is 2. There's nothing to bring down. What was the trick? Put a decimal point, kick it up, put your own 0, and bring it down. So how many times 3 goes into 20? So luckily we know that 3 times 6 is 18, and 3 times 7 is 21. So 3 only goes into 20 6 times. So 3 into 20 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. Bring another 0. Why? Because we cannot really compare them until we have enough numbers to compare them, and I'll show you why. We can't stop here. Bring down another 0. 3 into 20 is 6 again. Like we said, 6 times 3 is 18. And you realize that we're getting the same pattern. The number is just a repeating number. 0, 3 into 20 is 6 times again. So this keeps on repeating. So your answer is 0.66666. Now, how would we compare 2/3 and 0.65? Now, what did we change 2/3 into? 0.666, and 0.65 is here. And what do we use to compare? We use three symbols, right? This one that they call less than, this one greater than, and this one which is equal to. So when you're comparing, you want to compare it digit by digit. So you're going to look at the first digit here and you're going to look at the first digit here. Can we compare them? If they are equal to each other, if they are exactly the same and identical, we cannot compare them really. So we move on to the next number. So we move on to the 6 and the 6 here. So 6 and 6. Now can we compare them? No, they're exactly the same. So we move on to the next number. That's 6 here and this 5. Can we compare them? Yes. Look at this one and look at this one. Is this number here bigger than 5 or is it less than 5? Well, we know that 6 is greater than 5. So which symbol do we use for greater than 5? This symbol here. So 0.6666 is greater than 0.65. Therefore, we can look at the original problem and it is safe to say that 2/3 is greater than 0.65. So that's how you would write your final answer. Let's look at one last example. Say that you have 11 over 12 and you want to compare it with 0.92. Same concept. Whenever you have a fraction, go on the side and divide it and change it into a decimal number. Now, this one goes inside and this one goes into and the outside. So 11 goes inside and 12 goes on the outside. How many times 12 goes into 11? 12 is too big to go into 11, so 12 doesn't go into 11. So 0 times. 0 times 12 is 0, because 0 times anything is 0. 11 take away nothing. Take away 0 is still 11. There's nothing to bring down here because I want to continue the problem. So I'll put a decimal point here. And I take that decimal point, I kick it up. Remember that was a trick. And I put a 0 to bring down. Kick up the decimal point, bring down the 0. So how many times 12 goes into 110? Luckily, you know that 12 times 10 is 120, which is pretty fairly close to this, but a little bit over 110. So therefore, we can guess that 12 goes into 110 9 times. So 9 times 2 is 8. Carry a 1. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 1 is 10. We were right. So 12 goes into 110 9 times. So 9 times 12 is 108. And 110 minus 108, we only have 2 left. Now, the reason why we cannot stop because there's still a number here, and I don't know what's going to be here, so I can compare it with that number. So we bring down put a 0 here so we can bring it down. How many times 12 goes into 20? Well, 12 times 2 is 24, right? Because 12 times 2 just means 12 plus 12, which is 24, which is a little bit over 20. So 12 only goes into 20 once. 1 times 12 is 12. So 20 minus 12 is 1, 1 left, 10 take away 2 is 8, 1 take away 1 is nothing. And then if you want, you can bring down another 0 if you want, but you can literally stop the problem here, and I'll show you why, and say how many times 12 goes into 80. And in this case, we can try a high number. We can try 7, for example. 7 times 12 is 84, carry is 14, carry a 1, 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 is 8. So it's a little bit over, so I know that I have to try 6. So 12 times 6, 6 times 2 is 12, carry a 1, 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So 12 goes into 80 6 times. So 6 times 12 is 72. Borrow 1, this becomes 7. 10 take away 2 is 8. So I'm going to have an 8. So this is 0.916666. It will be a repeating number here. Now let's try to compare these numbers. So we have 0.916 and we're trying to compare it with 0.92. Like we said is we're going to compare digit by digit. So we're going to compare the 0 with the 0. Cannot compare. Move on to the next number. 9 with 9. They're exactly the same. Cannot say anything. We move on to the next number. We move on to the next number here. 1 and 2. So what can we say about 1? Is 1 less than 2? Is 1 greater than 2? We know that 1 is less than 2. Therefore, remember the symbols. This one is the one that they say less than, and this one is the one that we say it's greater than. And we're always reading from left to right. I'm not interested in saying, oh, 2 is greater than 1. We don't care. You always want to start from the left and say, oh, 1 is less than 2. So which symbol we use? Less than. But again, the original problem was given to you in terms of a fraction. So you have to rewrite the problem. And what symbol did we say we're going to put in between? Less than. So 11 over 12 is less than 0.92. And that's your final answer. Thanks for watching and make sure you practice.